This is my Sony Betamax VCR. It's an SL390 from 1989, which was pretty late for a Betamax VCR, but someone out there was still a Betamax loyalist in 1989 and they bought this VCR, and I ended up with it in 2016. It does play and record, but it has trouble loading and ejecting tapes. So I'm going to open this up, see what's wrong with it, and see if I can fix it. This VCR has what Sony called their 711B3 mechanism, which was their final consumer-grade Betamax VCR mechanism, and was quite a drastic simplification versus previous Betamax mechanisms. The loading and ejecting of the tape is done by this one worm drive motor and several gears, and once I remove it and the tape basket mechanism from the VCR, I'll show you what's wrong with it. To do that, we'll first need to remove the faceplate, which is held on by several plastic clips on the sides and 2 screws on the bottom. Next, there are 4 screws holding in the tape carriage, 2 at the front and 2 at the back that you need to take out. Now it easily lifts out, but it's tethered by this wire which can be unplugged, but the plug is underneath this circuit board. So to gain access to that, you'll need to remove these 2 screws at the front and back of the circuit board, which will allow you to swing it up and reach for that plug you need to unplug. It's this black plug right here. Now we can fully remove the tape carriage to work on it separately. Now here's the problem. The entire loading and ejecting mechanism relies on 2 plastic pegs sticking out from the tape basket, one on each side. And over time, those plastic pegs break off, and then you no longer have a functioning loading and ejecting mechanism. Here's the other side. There's supposed to be a plastic peg sticking out right here, allowing the mechanism to control the tape basket. But since that's broken off, the tape basket moves independently of the loading and unloading mechanism. So obviously that's not going to work. Of course, the original Sony replacement parts to fix this were discontinued long ago. But thankfully, unlike the Hi8 Handycam I'm using to record this, we live in the modern world where 3D printing is a thing now. So for about $13.50 on eBay, plus shipping and tax, you can get a set of new 3D printed replacement plastic posts to fix this problem. Now this is where we can start disassembling the mechanism. On this side, there's a couple clips to release for this metal bracket. There's one on the front, and then there's another clip on the bottom there. And if you undo those, you should be able to release this metal bracket like that. Now you can remove these gears. They just pull straight off. Same thing on the other side. There's one little clip holding this one on. You can pull that off. Now you want to move the tape basket into the loaded position. So there's a tab here. You gotta press to release it, and then you slide it until it drops down. And now you should be able to take it out. Now our job is to remove what's left of these broken plastic posts with the metal pin in the middle of it. So you want to cut off the plastic while leaving the metal in the middle. Same thing with this one on the other side. This whole mechanism is covered in grease, so you might want to wear gloves to keep your fingers clean. Well, it just took a few squeezes with these cutters and that plastic piece went flying. I don't even know where it went. So let's see if the same thing happens on this side. Heard it crack. I heard it crack again. Let's see if we can take it off. Okay. That was it. That was the plastic piece removed. And now We just have that metal pin left. And now I'm ready to try to push on this new post, the new 3D printed plastic post. So let's see how successful I am. It is indeed a tight fit. What is going on there? Okay, I think that's in. Now I just need to do the other one. Just be aware that both those metal pins and the holes in these new plastic pieces are rectangular, so you will need to orient them correctly when you reinstall these. And now I'm ready to finish putting on this second new plastic post. Don't break the mechanism. Okay, we can put that back together. Just want to get this piece on. And there it is. Okay, no harm done. I was able to get that piece reinstalled with its spring attached, and also this piece with its spring attached. So in case those pieces come off when you're working on this mechanism, now you know how to put them back in. Now for the reassembly, you want to take this swing arm thing and swing it back to the tape loaded position. Okay, it took a lot of careful prying, but I think I got everything back together correctly. Here's that new plastic post. You can see where it is in this swing arm in the loaded position. And over on this side, this piece here is in this slot towards the back. Then on this side, we have the plastic post over here. So now what I'm going to do is lift this up and move it back towards the front to the ejected position. Now we can reinstall those gears. The seller helpfully takes reference photos to help you put these back in at the right position. But this one over on this side, if I can get it in correctly. Let's see. Okay, one more tooth. Yeah, right there. That's in the correct position now. Now on this side, this gear, again, you want the last teeth to be together. So, just like that. And now this gear has a timing hole. You want that to be at the very bottom. There's another hole in the mechanism here. You want it to line up when you put it back in. So, like that. You can check it by taking a very small screwdriver and sticking it in that timing hole, and it should go through the corresponding hole in the frame and stick out the other end. As you can see, that means it's timed correctly. Oops. Okay, I got it back in. Now you can take this metal piece and put it back in. There's hooks on the back here, and that just should snap into place. And now you're ready to reinstall the tape loading mechanism. Just like that. And you gotta take this wire and snake it through and reconnect it to that board. Now I have everything put back together and ready to test, except I can't because this stupid VCR just died on me. I was going to show you this trick of pushing down on this sensor, which makes it think a tape has been loaded. Normally when you do that, it spins up the head drum and goes through the motion of threading the tape around the head. Except when I did that off camera, the head started to spin up, but then everything shut down. Even the clock display disappeared, so the VCR completely lost power. I discovered it blew the fuse. That's a 125 volt, 3.15 amp fuse. So I replaced it with a 2 amp fuse, which is the only kind I had on hand at the time, and it blew that fuse as well, although this time not quite as violently because there's no burn mark. So I thought, well, maybe it really needs that 3.1 amp fuse, and a 2 amp fuse isn't enough. So I got some 3 amp fuses, which were the closest I can find. And now if I plug it in, We do get a flashing clock display, but it doesn't turn on. And if I push down that sensor to make it think a tape has been loaded, the head drum does start to spin, but not up to full speed, and it doesn't try to thread the tape around it. And it's just going to sit there running even though I removed my finger from the sensor, which should make it think the tape has been ejected and it should stop spinning the head drum. And if I leave it running for more than a few minutes, this STK module in the power supply gets roasting hot and I can smell it burning. That STK module is the main voltage regulator of the power supply, so you may think something in the VCR circuitry has shorted out and is overloading it, but I'm thinking this module itself is the failure point, because I know that the STK audio amplifier modules that are commonly used in 1980s audio amplifiers are also well known for failing and shorting out, and sometimes destroying your speakers in the process. So unless someone has a better idea, I'm going to replace that STK module and recap this power supply and see if that fixes the problem and gets this VCR working again. But that will have to wait until another video, because I wanted the main focus of this video to be repairing the loading mechanism of the Sony 711B3 Betamax mechanism, which I have done successfully thanks to those new 3D printed parts. So that's all for now, unfortunately without the ability to show it working, but this 1989 Sony SL390 Betamax VCR will eventually come back to the repair bench, hopefully for the final time.